So kind of the theme, right? Two different halves. Second half, 10 defensive points, shut down a run, have some plays to get away from us there on third down, but battle back nonetheless. First half, again, issues stopping the run, adjustments need to be made on the fly, and weren't. But at the end of the day, the players still fought hard, and I will always applaud their effort. Offensively, again, just trying to get some things going, and just put the players in positions to be successful. And second half, again, I think you saw that. You saw the beginning of that. Felt like the players had a really good week at practice, and what I'm learning and what I'm seeing is those things are really manifesting later in the game. So as to why, that's something that I'm going to have to really, really dig deep about because, again, their effort is there and their care factor is very high. And I feel like this was one like the previous games that got away again. So got to do some searching. Now the thing is, we have one more, and we have the battle for the state, right? We have the Civil War. So what we have to do is we're going to have to put together two halves. We're going to put the defensive performance from this game in the second half and the offensive performance from both halves, from this half and the Arizona half. And that needs to be a complete performance on both sides of the ball. And so what I'm going to make sure we're doing is I'm going to make sure we're working with the efforts to put together a complete game before the season is up.
Cory, you kind of mentioned it already. This game was very similar to last week. After the game last week, you talked about how you weren't upset with the players and whatnot. Where's the disappointment for you this week?
The disappointment is just in the loss. And again, I'm going to always say that the players deserve better. You can watch the game, and if anybody is watching it, you see kind of how the momentum shifts work, and then you see, the positions that we're in certain scenarios that, it could be the same exact play, same exact, the next series, and it's different. And so the disappointment for me is just in making sure our players are fully aware, and that has to be hammered, constantly. We can't assume anything, and, again, it's just consistency. We just got to be consistent in our message, and we have to be consistent in our execution. We have to be consistent in our commitment, and that's just as a whole. So to say that I am disappointed, I'm disappointed in the loss because I'm watching the nucleus of this team, and I'm watching the offense and the defense, and when you think that the product is not where it should be or what it should be, then you see the glimpses of what they really are. So it's really the job of us, the staff, to really keep those players, all 11 offensive and defense in the same consistent pattern. And so that's what has to be the goal. What is that? Keep them there. What are those adjustments? Keep the adjustments made, right? And so the disappointment is not in one side of the ball, player or coach. It's just, again, in the details and in the loss.
Cory, for the way Arizona State was able to move the ball in the first half, did you feel the game plan was what it needed to be, or were guys just not executing what you felt the game plan was?
Yeah, the game plan was what it needed to be, but there needed to be some minor tweaks. Okay, tweaks to the game plan, and that's what happened really at halftime in the second half, and that's what I mean. Those things need to be those details and those slights and those little adjustments need to be made quicker. And again, that's going to be another thing that we really focus on. I'm really going to focus on that detail this week. Because and I think the adjustment is set, but you also have to understand that the opponent gets the film. So you're going to have to always, in the game of football, right, as a coach, you have to make adjustments. And a lot of those adjustments can't just come at halftime, right? You got to make them on the fly. You got to be able to make them on the fly. And so as you're trying to feel your way through there in that first half, when they're running, you're trying to see how they're going to react to certain scenarios and defensive looks that you give them. And then you have to adjust accordingly. So, the game plan, I feel, was solid. It's just now just minor tweaks and adjustments here and there, and that was the difference, really, what you saw in the second half. So it was really no different, one half to the next.
Cory, does part of this come down, maybe in part at least, to a confidence factor that they've been close before, of like a month ago, but until they get over the hump, maybe they don't quite have the belief that they can pull it off?
See, and I've heard that, but I don't think that's it at all. Because when you watch them compete, they compete at the same level from the first series, from the first snap to the last. Now, in football games, mistakes happen. It's just you can't let them happen in crucial and critical moments, and that's kind of what's been plaguing us. There'll be times where we have the momentum and then it'll halt, right? We'll fumble or drop snap, or even if we got them pinned, we got them, 2nd and 8, 2nd and 7. Next thing, we may lose a gap or we may miss a tackle, and they get the extra 8 to 9 yards. What that is again, those are competitive. Right, competitive errors that you live with because it's football, and all you do is when they come to the sideline, you coach it up. So I think they want it so bad, right? I don't think it's an issue of learning how to do it or learning how to finish it. It's just those details. Again, it's in those details that you have to make sure you pay attention to the fundamentals of football. The fundamentals are, play great defense, stop the run, and protect the football. And if we focus on that, I told you I have no problem going 3rd and 1 and punting. I have no problem. But the thing is, now the defense, you have to adjust to give the offense the ball back, right? And put us in good field position. So until those things, I think, when you're asking about winning, until the overall understanding of the scenario and the situations of football are clear and concise and understood by the complete, the whole team, that's when you get over that hump. And I don't think you have a player that is intimidated. I don't think you have a player that is going into a game that is underprepared. I just think, those things that have happened throughout the season, it's just need to be kept at a minimum,
Cory, with due respect, in that first half, you just got steamrolled on both sides of the ball. At one point, it was 302 to 26. So that seems like it's more than minor tweaks. Why that in the first half, and then the second half, very competitive?
Well, and plus, a lot of it is going into it. Who knows, what goes through the mind of the player. But the confidence, I can tell you that the confidence was there, because that's everything. That's all they talk about on the sideline when they come off. They're not that good. Arizona State's not that good. But at the point of attack, we have to make our plays, right? And, again, you don't take anything away from Arizona State. They came out and they started fast. Well, that's what you need to take on that identity in both offense and defense, whatever you're going to do. You have to start fast. And it's not a fill-out. Period. You don't want to fill things through. You have to come out, you have to strike, and you have to be aggressive. Now, in that, and putting the players in a position to do that, likewise as well for, who's calling plays, right? You still have to be aggressive, and you still have to make sure you make adjustments on the fly. And that's what it was. It was an adjustment because, again, I'll say it again. Okay, you're talking about stretch, you're talking about the away zone, and you're talking about inside zone. It's not rocket science. Okay, it's not. although in the first half an offense is making it look that way and our offense may not make it look that way, please believe they know, the defense of players know what's coming. Okay? Now it's just about the point of attack and making your play when it's there to be made. And so, yes, I'm not going to take anything away from Arizona State, but there were adjustments made, and they were adjustments made enough to stop the steamroll. So what I said is exactly what it was. So you think about that in the first half, and again, the result would be different. Now, again, what we have to do is we have to start like that next week. We cannot wait, for that. It has to start. It has to start fast. Both sides of the ball, point blank.
Cory, do you guys get demoralized in any way early in the game when it goes 14-0 just like that?
Absolutely not. Because I think if players were demoralized, I think it would get a lot uglier than 14, and I think it would go a lot faster. And then what I think you would see players tapping out, over insignificant injuries. And then not only that, I think that you would see total eruption on the sideline, players fighting amongst players, and coaches fighting amongst coaches. Those things, when you can tell that players have given up, or a team or a staff has given up, then you start to kind of see unrest, and you kind of see dysfunction on the sideline. You start to see things that look common, seem, threatening, or seem so severe or serious. You don't see that. And then you see the pushback, you see the fight back, because you wouldn't see that in the second half. So I don't think it's the 14, down, because they've been there before. It's just knowing how to handle that. At not one point in the game, even on down the last 2 minutes and 30 seconds, what have you. You see the offense down there moving the ball like they're going to go score, and we're going to do what we have to do on special teams to get the ball back and make it a one-score game, right? After scoring, going down there and going for two, make it a one-score game. Everybody had every bit of confidence that we would be able to onside or pass kick, get the ball back, and then drive down and then see what happens from there.
And obviously, the rally ended with Darrell's fumble of the snap. I know fumbles have been an issue this whole year. So there's 12-man on the field penalty and false start on fourth down. Some of those execution errors, why do you think at this point of the year those are continuing to happen?
Again, you have to kind of look again at, because I'll never say player, right? Because I never believe it's the players, and that's the honest truth. So, in that, who knows? Fumble? I can't answer that, right? Who can answer that as to why we fumble a snap? I don't think you can say, well, at this point in period in time in the season, fumbles happen early in the season, late in the season. A fumble is a fumble, because it is, right? Now, the 12 men, again, that's administrative, right? And I'm going to put that on our staff. Obviously, right? You got 12 men on the field. You have eyes in the box. You have people who are controlling personnel adjustments. So, and I'm going to put that on myself. So when I say staff, I don't not include myself in that. Why is that happening now at this point in the season? Your guess is as good as mine. And those are things that are talked about. Those are the things that will be discussed when we get down there and we watch this film. But those are the things that need to go away and need to leave from here, right? And the overall flow of the game needs to be managed better. And that's my opinion. But the fumbles, fumbles happen. We've been in games where the opponent fumbled, a certain point. So no game's ever perfect. My philosophy is you don't turn the ball over. I'd rather take sacks than to give away fumbles or interceptions. So it's just something, again, you got to work hard at and get better at. And that's any football team, because those are the fundamentals of football, to be honest with you.
Thank you, Coach.
Yep.